This is Karen with newclevelandradio.net, and it's time for What in the World with Paul Sieber and his sidekick, John Donalo. And it's not Tuesday, it's Thursday. So we're a little confused, okay? It's all right. We've been living life to the grandest, correct? That's why we have to do this on Thursday. So, Paul, fill us in.
Phyllis in. Phyllis. I knew Phyllis in. I went to school with Phyllis. She's a nice lady. Phyllis in. Hey, everybody. It's me, Paul Sieber, your host of What in the World, everybody's favorite weird news podcast. Real news, sometimes strange, always funny. That's our motto. It should also be sometimes not on Tuesdays. We're here on Thursday if you're listening live, and we're grateful for you that if you somehow found your way to us at 4 o'clock on Thursday, we really do appreciate it. If you're listening to us in the future, we appreciate you as well. We are in Northeast Ohio. I'm hoping, I don't want to jinx us, but there's a huge storm traveling through the area right now. So right now we're confident that we'll ride it out and without any difficulties. If we have difficulties, that's nothing new for this show. So
it's an honest assessment, Paul.
There you go. So let's introduce the other voices you're picking up in your headphones, or earbuds, or whatever it is you're listening to us on. The first one, of course, was Karen Hale, our producer, co-host, and media mogul at newclevelandradio.net, our platform. Go visit us at newclevelandradio.net. You can find a link to the show across the bar on the top. Then check out all the places where you can download us, including YouTube. Please check out YouTube. We always include some photographs with our stories, and it's fun to take a look at those. We'll describe them to you, but it's always fun to look at them. Also check out all the other great podcasts that Karen has on her platform, all different subject matter. Many of them very helpful to you. We're the laugh people, but there's other ways to get in a good mood, get yourself in, get your head on straight, as the kids like to say, or as we used to say when we were kids. But we use far different methods back then
or different terms or different terminology.
So anyways, check that out. Also check out Yes I Can Coaching with Karen. Karen is a professional coach, so check out her services there. And Yes I Can Coaching is one of our sponsors. So as always, please support our sponsors. Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
The other voice you've been hearing occasionally poke into your other ear is none other than our sports guy, co-host, and all-around good guy, my old fraternity brother, John Donalo. Hey, John, how you doing?
Hey, Paul, I'm doing well, and looking forward to a great podcast, and looking forward to getting started.
Yes. So the regular listeners know that John and I mention a fraternity all the time. That's where John and I met at John Carroll University in University Heights, Ohio. We won't say when it was that we met, but it was a while ago. And we were in a fraternity together. We recently, last week, defended our title at our college's annual trivia bowl. This was the second year, so we were planning to add a second trophy to our mantles, or a second candy bar. I think it was
candy bar. I think was really the goal, but
whatever it was. Yeah. Unfortunately, while we had a great time, we finished very close to the top. We were only 1.5 answers away from correct answers away from winning, or at least tying to win. We needed 2 answers to win. But we had a blast, and I want to thank all the people at Great Lakes Brewing and John Carroll Alumni Society. They just did a super job. Our wives came along with us. We thought they would be heckling us. Instead, they were competing against us.
Yes, they were.
And actually did much better than certainly they expected to, and that we expected them to. I think had there not been so many questions about the school itself, which only people who had gone to school there would know, They would have finished probably in the middle of the pack, but they had a good time. We ate kielbasa and sauerkraut and had adult beverages and a good time. So, so there, I'll mention that there's been some sports news this week. John has his Cleveland Browns paraphernalia on this week. The Browns drafted a bunch of people that, we could spend hours just talking about that. Needless to say, other people will be talking about that. And so go there.
That's a better way to do it. That's right.
Not now. But if you want your information, then be bored to death. I mean, on all that stuff. Instead, we want to mention two other teams. One is the Cleveland Cavaliers, who have moved to the second round of the NBA playoffs. They'll be playing this weekend, I think. Who are they playing, John?
They're playing the Indiana Pacers, Paul, starting on Sunday.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Indiana Pacers. And then the Louisville Bats, our minor league baseball team that we've adopted. How are they doing, Karen? Are they're playing?
They got close to the top of the heap.
Yeah.
And then they've been sliding down again.
Good training for young kids.
Yes.
There you go.
It's early in the season, though. It's early in the season. There's a lot of season left. So yeah.
That's right. That's what baseball's all about. Okay. All right. So let's move on to our weird stories of the week, because that's what you tuned in for. To get some laughs, get some strange stories, see what's going on in the world outside of the mainstream media. And boy, do we have some strange stories this week. We're talking about weird things people do on bicycles. Oh, wait till you see this. This is a number of stories. It was an odd week for bicycle stories. So we'll talk about that. My most popular story on Facebook, and I mention that because Facebook is a good way to get in contact with me. If you have some ideas for stories for the show. Also, I test out some of our stories during the week, so you can get a head start on what we might be talking about. The number one story, woodpecker problems, and why you can't blame them on Woody Woodpecker. So we're going to look at both of those things. Gourmet convenience store food from Japan. We love talking about food from Japan. This is gourmet convenience store food. Fire breathing for fun and profit. This is for you, John. This is a good retirement job for you.
Okay.
I'll have some tips on how you can get into the biz. The world's worst peanut butter cup. Now, this is also for John as well as myself and any other fans of peanut butter cups. Wait till you see these. Let's see. We got some more odd news. We've got a lot of trivia. John's got a weird sport for us. So, and then we play everybody's favorite weird news game, Bluff the Co-host. So stick around for that at the end of the show. But right now, let's get right to our first story, and that has to do with bicycles. This is spring, which means it's bicycle season. So John, I'll ask you first. When was the last time you were on a bicycle?
Believe it or not, it was 2 years ago. And
wait, I'm not talking about those pedicabs downtown.
No. I mean, an actual. My wife and I were actually on bikes 2 years ago in the summer for a short distance. Let's leave it at that.
Got to the end of the driveway and decided that there was too much traffic.
Yeah, we just wanted to make sure we knew our limits, and just wanted to make sure that we could stay. Not so much my wife, but me, making sure that I was not going to skin my knee like I did many, many, many years ago. So, but that was the last time.
I think I remember, but that must have been about the time you started walking funny for a while. So.
Well, yes, you could say that. You could say that.
Hey, I agree with that 100%. That's the worst part of bike riding. I enjoy riding bikes, but finding a seat that old people can sit on is becoming a real challenge. So, Karen, do you have a bike, by the way?
I have a stationary bike and I ride it every day.
Oh, that's good.
Do you have do you watch TV while you're doing it, or listen to
I watch TV or I listen to podcasts.
Oh, good. Wow, there you go. A lot of people do that. I have one. Also hurts my butt, so I don't ride that one either.
Well.
But anyway, so we got our logo up here. Let's move through the pictures here. Oh, there's my book. What would you say to a naked space alien? By the way, if you're joining us from MysteriousUniverse.org, where I am the editor and head writer, thank you so much for doing that. If you want more stuff, if you're not, but you want more stories about the things I write about in paranormal news, go to MysteriousUniverse.org, where once a week I do a weekly recap. In fact, I was working on that right before the show. That'll be coming out tomorrow, so check that out. Okay, so first story on bicycles comes from Mexico City. Mexico City, a cyclist was seen furiously pedaling down a busy street, and all the streets in Mexico City are busy. But here's the big difference. He had a couch mounted. Oh, that's me riding a bike right there. I rode a bike.
It's barely possible. I had to say it.
Oh, there we go. John starts off with the first pun of the day. Whoa, very good, John. There's a reason to check YouTube to see what I really look like on a. I have a helmet on. You got to admit, I have a helmet on. So
safety first, Paul. Safety first. Sure.
Much else. Well, you're just going to have to look at YouTube and see what we're talking about. Okay, so this guy had, believe it or not, a couch attached to the front of his bicycle. You can see the couch. It's sticking out 4 feet on either side of the bike. I'm not real sure, but because we're looking at his rear, how it was attached to the front of his bicycle. But there it is. Cars behind him, cars in front of him, probably all honking at him. They said, according to the report, he was moving so fast that some people, with this couch on his bicycle, that some people think he was training for the Tour de France Provincial. Which is a kind of furniture for those of you who I had to look it up too. Okay, he got stopped by a cop, and the cop who stopped him actually let the cyclist off with just a warning. When the cyclist explained to the cop that he was going to the bank to deposit the loose change that he had in the couch. So that's a legitimate reason to put your couch on your bike, I guess, in Mexico City.
Okay.
Now, I looked it up. It is legal, believe it or not, to attach a couch to your bike in Mexico City. In fact, you can put anything you want on your bike in Mexico City. And the guy was safe. He's got a helmet on, but you don't have to wear a helmet, especially if you have a couch attached to the front of your bike. You hit something, you're going to go forward. You're going to fall right into the cushion. So just lay down.
Yeah.
It's better than the inflatable balloons in our cars. Anyway, so I haven't seen this in a long time, but going back to when we were kids, we used to ride with our friends on our handlebars. You remember that? Or we were
of course. Yeah. I mean, I think me and my brothers all did that. Sure.
Oh yeah. So the worst part though was if you were in traffic and the person who was doing the pedaling wanted somebody to get out of the way, and they reached in front to grab the horn, and you're on the bars.
That's a problem.
Yep.
I'll leave it at that. There we go. Okay. So the only restriction in Mexico City is that whatever you're carrying doesn't block your view. Believe it or not, and my second bicycle story comes from New York. A guy in New York, also riding a bike with a couch, figured out how to ride without it blocking his view. And here's how this guy's holding a refrigerator. He has a refrigerator that is a real refrigerator balanced on his head while he is riding down the street. I think he's in Brooklyn, one of the boroughs of New York City.
That is ridiculous.
It's real, Karen. It's a small refrigerator, but still, it probably weighed a couple 100 pounds. New Yorkers were stunned. They thought maybe it was a new delivery service for an appliance store called Thermador Dash.
Oh,
Oh boy.
I
It strikes me that why are these people doing these things?
Well, he's a stunt person. So
Oh,
he
okay. All
I don't
right.
know
oh,
if he's
Okay.
training or what. He was in fact they said he might be training for the Tour de Frigidaire. So
Oh no.
oh,
that famous
okay.
French race with where everybody carries a refrigerator. Um, he Here's the thing that what I thought was interesting. He's not using his own bicycle. He's riding a paper ride city bike, which are all over New York City and many other major cities. Uh, so he had to balance the refrigerator on his head while putting his credit card into the slot in order to get the bike out of the
Modern times. How things are
this guy's
happening in modern
good.
times. Right. Okay.
Yeah, if he's got that kind of, I want this guy in front of me at the grocery store because he's going to be in and out in no time.
Oh
Doesn't
yeah,
need
for sure.
everything balanced on his head. He can probably get change and everything, use coupons, and boom, he's out of there.
Yep.
So now, not only did he ride around Brooklyn with a refrigerator on his head, but also, like the guy in New York City, in Mexico City, he also rode down the street with a couch on his head. Now that looks like a big couch. That looks even bigger than almost looks like a fold out, like a
Yeah.
hide a bed.
Yeah, how can
Uh,
he balance that? That's amazing.
isn't it? Also on a city bike. Not much traffic. I was surprised. No trash, no rats running across. So hard to tell if this is.
Right, yeah, exactly. Wow.
But I'm
Wow.
telling you, John, I don't think you're going to be moving anymore anytime soon. But back in the old days, this is the guy we needed to help move because you could have saved money on a truck.
Oh,
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
absolutely. I mean, look at what this guy's hauling. Wow, that's amazing.
yeah. He's I thought he could make some money is by if he got one of these a giant like a billboard on his head advertising chiropractor services, which
Yeah, he could do that, I think. Wow.
yeah, he doesn't he uses a chiropractor and his back is fine and he can balance all these couches. I think I- it just freaked me out that we had two similar stories like that in the same week.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, now um, also another vehicular story. This was very very popular story on Facebook. This comes from Rockport, Massachusetts, where owners of at least 25 vehicles, cars, trucks, vans, SUVs, have come out of their house and noticed that their side view mirrors and their windows were mysteriously cracked. And they finally figured out what was going on. It was a woodpecker that was cracking their windows and their mirrors by pecking at it. Uh, this is a pileated woodpecker. Uh, they reported it. It was picked up by all the news, and ornithologists said that it's mating season, and the woodpecker was probably a male, and he was protecting his territory. He was chasing another male away from his mate. Um,
Yeah, I saw there were several reports on television that
yeah, yeah.
had this
Oh,
occurring, Paul and Karen and audience, in different states throughout the country.
yeah. He,
Wow.
yeah, yeah. Elon Musk, he was upset about this because some of his cars were getting pecked on it.
So to
He
speak.
thought, he
So to
thought maybe the
speak.
woodpecker was mad at him, but it was just mad at that the imaginary woodpecker in the mirror. The definition of really bad luck is uh, break breaking a mirror when when you only have six years of a lifespan, because that's how long woodpeckers live. So poor
Oh,
guy.
Oh, wow, my
okay.
gosh.
Yeah,
Wow.
he breaks it and he's had bad luck for the rest of his life. Now, John is right. This was a big news story in Cleveland as well. This kind of stuff doesn't happen in Cleveland because our windshields and our mirrors are always so dirty all year long. Not
Well,
only can woodpeckers can't see anything in them, neither can we.
uh-huh.
But I had to look it up. I wanted to make sure I was using the correct pronunciation. I always call them pilated woodpeckers. Other people say pilated. Uh, and the drivers, of course, said effing woodpeckers. So
Well, if the shoe fits, wear it.
there you go, John. So the most famous woodpecker, of course, is Woody Woodpecker.
Right.
The famous cartoon came out in the 1960s, created by Walter Lantz, was the name of the cartoonist and the producer. His partner, who did the storyboarding where they drew him, I think I have a picture of Woody. Well, we'll put up over there's Woody. His storyboard artist was a guy by the name of Ben Hardaway, whose nickname was Bugs because he also was the storyboard person for Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck. So very famous guy who worked on a lot of different cartoons. He worked on those at Warner Brothers. Walter Lantz was at a different studio. Woody, do you know who voiced Woody, John? The famous
boy, I knew this, but I'll tell you off the top of my head, I can't tell you, Paul.
Yeah, Mel Blanc. Mel Blanc.
Right, that's it. That's right.
So Woody was around from 1960. I mean, he's still around today. I think they stopped doing new ones in the mid 2000s. Mel Blanc was the original voice of Woody Woodpecker. Other people replaced Mel Blanc. He was eventually replaced by Grace Stafford. Grace Stafford was the wife of Walter Lantz. So his own wife and she was the only female to voice Woody Woodpecker. All the rest
wow.
were.
Okay.
Yeah. So Walter Lantz was and I bring this up because Walter Lantz claims he was inspired to draw Woody Woodpecker when he was on his honeymoon with the same woman, Grace Stafford. He says they were in June Lake, California in 1940, and a woodpecker was outside their cabin, keeping them up all night. Now, they're on their honeymoon, okay? So, I'm not sure if I buy that whole story, but nonetheless, he said that's when he was inspired to do it. And he wanted to shoot the bird, but Grace talked him out of it. And she said, why don't you do a cartoon instead? So, I mean, I'm not sure if I buy that either, but that's the story that they give, the origin story on how Woody the Woodpecker was born. Now, the laugh, ha 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 ha. Everybody remembers the Woody Woodpecker laugh. I did a very poor impression of it there. They claim that Mel Blanc based that on the sound of a real pilated woodpecker. Now, I've got pilated woodpeckers in my yard every day. They're very common in the Northeast Ohio. I've never heard one of them laugh like Woody Woodpecker ever. No, that's not it, John. That's not it.
No, I wasn't trying to imitate it. I'm just laughing at what your point was.
However, I have heard squirrels laugh like Woody Woodpecker. Usually after defeating my protective device around the bird feeder and cleaning my bird feeder out of bird seed. Then they go up in the tree and they laugh their butts off, just like Woody Woodpecker. So in 1950, the Walter Lantz held anonymous auditions to do the voice of Woody Woodpecker, and his wife sent in, I don't know if she showed up at the studio or sent in a recording or what, but she responded anonymously, and she ended up getting the job. So he didn't even know that it was his wife who did it. Yeah, and she became the voice from 1950 to 1972. So
wow.
Yeah, she was an actress. Both of them lived to well into their 90s. So anyways, world record time. Okay, this is balancing of a different kind. So I'm going to pronounce this guy's name once. He's Canadian, but his name is Abedis Mindert de Boer. So he must be in Montreal. Sounds like a French name. Set a Guinness World Record when he stacked, get ready for this, 3,132 Jenga blocks, from the Jenga game, on top of each other. But not just on top of each other, but on top of one single Jenga block, which was standing vertically. So on top of one block, he stacked over 3,000 more before it finally ended up looking like that. But anyway, so there's a picture of the entire stack block. This is what people do in Canada when you don't like to play hockey, or watch hockey.
While away the winter hours, right? Or the
yeah. Why else would you do something like that, John, in Canada, or drink beer? He couldn't be drinking beer to be able to stack them like that, I don't think.
No, he would have to have his wits about him for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So it took to stack 3,000 blocks. It took 6 hours and 58 boxes of Jenga blocks.
Wow.
Now, I don't know if you remember, a couple months ago there was a worldwide shortage of Jenga blocks. Now we know why, because this guy bought them all.
Yeah. Wow.
And take a look at where he's at, John. He's in a restaurant.
I see. Looks like he's in a steakhouse of some kind, right? Wow.
Yeah, it's a steakhouse. Yeah, I think it's called Mr. Mike's Steakhouse. The he figured he'd draw a better crowd there. He says, I don't know, people bored with eating steak. He says, I decided to take on this record after realizing my passion for balancing. So obviously he couldn't get a job at the grocery store stacking cans. He decided he's going to do this instead.
He's taking it to another level, so to speak.
John, you're on a roll.
I am. I don't know. It's just kind of funny, actually.
Yeah. So he says he practiced by doing it on TikTok. So he would have thousands of people watching him. The pressure was on. I don't think the pressure's on anywhere near if he's in a steakhouse and people are trying to eat steak and watch him do this kind of stuff. He did it on TikTok. If you ask me what TikTok is good for, I'd say it's good for nothing. And this is the perfect example of it. Watching some guys block TikTok.
Yeah.
Sorry, all you TikTok fans out there, but that's the way I think. Sorry. So he broke the record at this steakhouse, and afterwards, he was giving tips to the waiters on how to carry their trays. You know how waiters like to stack plates when they're going back into the kitchen. So he's giving tips on how to do that. He also balances Jenga blocks on his head. That's his other. Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
Here's my question. Does anybody actually play the Jenga blocks game anymore? It seems like all we're getting is people stacking them for records, stacking them on their head. We've had a couple of stories about people who removed blocks with their tongue. Whatever happened.
Paul, that's a skill like anything else.
Okay. Loosely defined skill there, John.
It is loosely defined.
Las Vegas ought to start, doing gambling, betting on Jenga blocks. Maybe that would increase the interest in the sport or the game or whatever the heck you call it. Okay. We love weird food stories here on What in the World. So we got a couple coming up here. So get ready for this. So in Japan has 7-Eleven stores, which I think is really interesting. Japan also has Lawson stores. For those of you in Northeast Ohio, the convenience stores, the dominant convenience stores in Japan, of all places, are Lawson's and 7-Eleven. So Lawson's, to compete, they're having a World Cuisine Expo campaign where they're providing customers with world cuisine at 7-Eleven. And one of the world cuisines that they're offering this week is chicken and orange sauce. So this is, like you might get at a Chinese restaurant. That's basically what I would call it, the chicken and orange sauce. Comes in cartons, and they show it with chopsticks here. But you're at 7-Eleven. If they don't have any chopsticks, you can just get 2 of those hot dogs that are spinning on.
They don't look very appetizing sometimes.
And what's that green stuff?
They ever look appetizing?
No,
I don't think so.
No, I said they don't look very appetizing. I've never
No,
seen,
no.
any that do.
Karen, did you have a comment there?
What's the green stuff on it?
You don't want to know.
Oh,
The
okay.
Is it parsley or something? It looks
Karen,
like maybe
this
it's
is
parsley.
Japan at 7-Eleven. I don't think you want to know.
Okay.
The but whatever it is, taste testers, and they actually had people go in and taste this stuff. They said that it's surprisingly good. But these are the same people who said that 7-Eleven's sushi Slurpee was surprisingly good too.
Oh my! Wow, what a product that is.
John, when was the last time you ate anything out of other than a candy bar from a convenience store, or maybe some lunch meat?
Well, I'll tell you what, I can't remember. I mean, really. I mean, not that I have that good of a memory, but I'll tell you, Paul and Karen and audience, that's something when I go into that convenience store, I'm looking for something else, not something to eat. That's for sure.
Yeah, barely. You don't get drawn to the I don't know if fresh food is a loose concept there.
Yeah.
Prepared foods display at convenience stores in Northeast Ohio. But I don't know. I think that to me, if we had this up here, the little panda on the Panda Express sign would say, "Yuck, that looks terrible." And
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, eating I think eating Chinese food from a convenience store, if I remember correctly, was one of Dante's rings of hell.
I don't think you're far off on that, Paul. I don't think you're far off on that one.
Well, but I'll tell you what, John, the next ring of hell outside of that is eating chocolate covered broccoli. I think that would be
Oh, God.
Yeah. And the thing that impressed me is that they're eating this stuff with chopsticks. Can you imagine somebody here eating anything at a 7-Eleven with chopsticks?
Doesn't seem to go right. It doesn't seem right.
No, John. Most people, I've been in convenience stores to buy something, and I've never seen somebody walk up and say, yeah, I'll have a pack of Pall Malls, give me 6 Slim and give me 4 chopsticks. I got a hot date. She's waiting in the car. We're going to have dinner. That just doesn't happen.
I agree.
Yeah. I'm Slim Jim. Slim Jim is the perfect example of something that's both a food and a chopstick. You could.
It's a multi-purpose thing, right?
There's a reason for them. I don't know if there's any meat there. There must be some kind of meat in Slim Jim. I'm not sure what it is. So remember, this is a number of years ago when the big slogan in New York was "I Heart NY."
Right.
Stickers were "I Heart New York." You don't see them anymore, and I think I know why. And it's because of stories like this. So there's a personal care brand called Billie, Billie, that has come out with a new all-day deodorant called Coco Via. Now, they're advertising it in Manhattan and in other places around New York City by using, get ready for this, giant scratch and sniff armpit posters.
Oh.
This is the posters. They're near Penn Station, which is, we'll talk about that in a second. But these people, the 2 girls here, we are sniffing giant armpits that they have just scratched to see what they smell like. If you want to smell what an armpit smells like before you scratch, you go into Penn Station and then
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah, and then run out and scratch these things. Can you believe? Would you either one of you, would anybody out there, would you scratch a poster of an armpit to see
I
what
wouldn't even want to look at the poster of the armpit.
Yeah, I'm with Karen on that one. I mean, why would you do that? I mean, that's just too weird.
Well, New York's Knicks players, by the way, John, the New York Knicks said that some of their players actually go to these posters because it gets them ready for playing against for guarding Nikola Jokic. Is that his name?
Jokic, yeah, right, sure, okay, yeah. Well,
The shorter guys. That's all they
you're-
ever see is his armpit. So
well, they're trying to get any kind of advantage they can, so I can't fault them for that, Paul.
this is not the only one. Here's another one here. So this lady is snipping a different one. You know, I I don't I can't imagine anybody in Cleveland doing something like this. You know, there's a famous billboard in Cleveland of a personal injury lawyer by the name of Tim Misney. I can't imagine anybody walking up to Tim Misney's posters and wondering what his armpit smells like.
No, that's I don't think that's really I don't think that's a relevant subject, Paul.
Yeah.
So Coca-Via, you know, they're upset because we're picking on them. They said that this is a real product. It smells like a sweet vanilla coconut scent featuring spice. Yeah. Oh, it smells good, doesn't it? Almost good enough to eat, or maybe lick.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Spice vanilla, coconut cream, and sunny sandalwood. Which I'm sure it smells that way after the first scratch or maybe the second. But you know, this is New York. People are coming up, but after a couple of hours or maybe a couple of days, it smells like bagels. It smells like
smells of the city, I gather. Okay.
Yeah, hot dogs. You know, whatever people buy on the street in New York, that's what it smells. You know, maybe dirty old men wearing aqua velva. That's what it smells like. Now, these are bad enough, Karen and John, but take a look at this poster here, which is a hairy armpit. So it's not just shaved armpit. They also have a hairy armpit that you can scratch and sniff. Can you imagine? This is New York City. I've been to New York City plenty of times. I can just imagine a bunch of guys standing across the street, checking out the women who come up to sniff the armpit.
Oh, gee.
Yeah.
All I can say on this, Paul and Karen, is there's no accounting for taste.
Right.
Well,
You're right.
But think about it. I can hear them. I can hear them. Hey, she's kind of cute. You know? Whoa! She just licked that armpit. That's the woman I'm gonna marry. Maybe not. Okay.
No.
So I've been to New York too many times. I know too many people from New York. Okay. All right. So John, here's your retirement job for the week.
Okay.
High school teacher. Her name is Raydural Sterling. She lives in Shakopee, Minnesota. Must not be a whole lot of stuff to do in Shakopee, Minnesota, because she just set a Guinness World Record for the most flames blown out of her mouth in 30 seconds. Fire-breathing flames. She blew the most in 30 seconds. She spewed, here's a picture of her spewing flames, 68 flame balls in a half a minute. So over 2 a second, blowing those balls of flame into the air. She also holds the record for being Tums Customer of the Month for 30 straight months in a row.
Well, I'll tell you what, that is just, there's not enough money in the world to give to me to try to do something like that. That's dangerous.
Well, what? You better believe it. It's not just for her. Her dental hygienist, they interviewed her, and she said she has to wear a hazmat suit when she does her teeth.
Oh my!
Could be some residue left over in there.
Oh,
poor woman. She's never gotten a wish for blowing out all the candles on her birthday cake.
I can imagine that. That for sure.
Yeah, John.
Right. Oh my gosh.
So she's actually a high school teacher, and she was named. This is honest to God true. She was named the coolest teacher at her high school. I can't remember any teacher in my high school doing anything close to something like this, other than the one teacher who used to turn up the Bunsen burners in chemistry real high and shoot flames out. But that was once. John, do you remember any teachers doing something weird like that while you were
No,
in school?
no, I think myself and fellow students would, but a teacher would never do that.
So, if you want to get into this as a career,
Yeah, right. There is a
Sure,
future
man.
for you if you choose to do this. Wow.
or you can go on the internet, of course, and there's instructions on how to do it.
Oh,
So,
geez.
so first you have to use a liquid. Obviously they're spraying a liquid, one with a safe flash point. I didn't know there was such a thing.
Hmm.
So the number one liquid to use is paraffin, which is the stuff that you put in lamps.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, if you want to put it in a lamp oil. The preferred liquid for fire breathers. Wikipedia had a list of warnings to people who were using Wikipedia to get more information on becoming a fire breather. They said, and John, you were close. Fire breathing can increase the risk of death. Right. Number one warning can increase the risk of death, severe burns, oral and dental problems, fuel poisoning, a dry cough, dry tongue, cotton mouth, and abdominal pains and diarrhea.
Oh,
So on that last
geez.
one, if you're having abdominal pains and diarrhea, maybe you're lighting the wrong end.
Good one, Paul. That's a good one.
Yep.
Wow.
Can you believe, from Wikipedia of all places, which now there's interesting things in Wikipedia as well. For example, the history of fire breathing. Believe it or not, they trace the history of fire breathing back to Roman times, to a Roman slave whose name was Eunice, Eunus. Now that's not anus, but Eunice. Anus was his brother. He was the one who had the abdominal pains and diarrhea.
Oh, no.
Eunice. So
Yes.
Eunice invented fire breathing as a way to convince his fellow slaves that he had supernatural abilities and they should follow him in a revolt against the Roman authorities so that they could escape. And the way he did that was by learning how to breathe fire so that they would think he was supernatural and they'd go chasing after him. Not in front of him, of course, because they set him on fire. So there you go. Now,
Wow. Another amazing story, Paul.
Yes.
yeah. Now we all know, if you've listened to the show before, John doesn't eat stuff like that. John's very picky about what he eats, but there's something that John and I have in common. I think Karen as well, and that is we love peanut butter cups.
That
All
is
right?
true. That is very true.
Yeah. So I found a brand of peanut butter cups that are so popular in Cleveland that they have to keep them behind the counter because they go so fast. So here it is right here. These are pierogi flavored
Oh my gosh.
peanut butter cups. You can see the pierogi underneath the peanut butter, on the label.
Right.
Yeah.
Broken open. I don't know if those are ground up pierogies or what on top of the peanut butter, but pierogi flavor, limited edition,
Oh,
So
Now
I'm
wait
not
a
sure.
minute. I got a question here, Paul. It says at Polish Food News. Now, my question is this legitimate or not legitimate?
Okay. Polish Food News is a legitimate site. I go there all the time.
Okay. Well, yeah, I
I'm
understand
not
why you
sure
would.
if the pierogi
Right.
flavored peanut butter cups are real, but I anticipated you asking me that question, John. And I'm going to ask you this question. Is there any flavor of peanut butter cup that you wouldn't eat? Can you think of a flavor that you might not eat?
No, honestly, no. And I know that now Reese's it comes with caramel, which I love caramel. And I just saw an advertisement on television today for Reese's with um, peanut butter. I mean, with jelly and so peanut butter and jelly
Yeah.
Reese's cup. So if it's on a national commercial, I'm assuming it's real.
Well, okay. Those don't appeal to me, but here's some real Reese's flavors that I don't know if you would get into. So here's one right here. Werewolf tracks. Werewolf track peanut butter. Now, peanut butter cups. Now, this is made with vanilla cream on top. So there's no werewolf. I don't see any werewolf parts inside of the
that's comforting. That's comforting. We don't see any werewolf parts.
Okay. On the same theme, there's also the Reese's Franken Cup, which is a milk chocolate with green cream. So it says, to match the green skin, I guess, of Frankenstein. Again, I don't see any much green inside the peanut butter there, but it's definitely green on the bottom.
Well, you would think that might be a mint flavor if it's green, right? I mean,
you would think, yeah, green cream. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. Wow.
That you definitely would not touch, and I know this for a fact, and that is Reese's plant-based oat chocolate confection and peanut butter. So they can't even call it chocolate. It's an oat chocolate confection because it has no milk or anything in it. And it's plant-based. I thought that everything in a Reese's cup was plant-based, but apparently not.
That's too logical of a thought, Paul.
Yeah. So this is their hot new thing, for all the kids who are eating the plant-based stuff. I don't know. I'm
oh wow. Yeah.
All right. So Karen is the only one of the three of us who has hair on her head. So this is for you, Karen. Hair salons in China are installing artificially intelligence-empowered hair washing devices that use infrared sensors to detect the user's scalp, then select the right shampoo and shampooing method based on the person's hair type, then making adjustments for wash speed, duration, scalp massage intensity, and length of hair. There's picture two ladies in one of these contraptions. Karen, would you put your head in something like that?
I'm going to use the proverbial hell no.
Well, that's good. That's good to know that.
But believe it or not, my barber has one of these. Although I think he stole it from the bowling alley. It was a ball washing machine.
Oh boy.
So it only costs, they're using it to cut costs. It only costs $2.60 to use this to get a shampoo. Now I know the lovely Donna, my wife, spends far more than that on a shampoo when she goes. But the price on this goes up to $4 if you want to have it done in a room where they don't hear you screaming while this thing is pulling on your hair.
Wow. Yeah.
This is I'm already writing a book about this. It's called The Hairdresser's Guide to the Galaxy. It's
yeah.
Oh my Lord. Wow.
Yeah. So artificial intelligence is taking over, I think. To me, this looks like an MRI machine. And I don't want to put my head in an MRI machine for anything other than an MRI. I don't want to put my head in there and have the machine tell me that your hair is clean and, by the way, you have a brain worm. I don't want to know.
No, you don't want to find that news out. That's for sure.
No. Now, what about everybody's favorite movie, Star Wars? The whole series, I think. John, I'm sure you're a big Star Wars fan. Do you have any Star Wars Julia, by the way, or are you strictly sports?
No, I like. Oh yeah, Star Wars is that great franchise. It's a great franchise. It really is.
Yeah,
I mean, for entertainment.
So,
it's
45th anniversary of The Empire Strikes Back. George Lucas revealed that he came up with that weird way of Yoda speaking, misordering the words in order to get people to pay attention to what he said. The backward speaking that he had.
Right.
Chewbacca, on the other hand, happened when the actor who played Chewbacca went to the commissary, to the cafeteria, and ate too much spicy food, and that was it. That was his voice.
Oh, wow.
So Yoda, there's a picture of Yoda right there. So George Lucas said that he came up with that speech pattern to get 12-year-olds to listen to what he was saying. He wanted to get, to me, if 12-year-olds listen to Yoda, maybe we should have Yoda run for office because, some way to get people to pay more attention to
Yes.
whatever.
Right.
leader-
Yes. Have more of a
Although there's a
message.
couple of
Right.
them.
More of a
I think
message.
there's
Right.
a couple of them that mix up their words like Yoda does anyways.
Mhm.
So last story. Carletta Andrews was having a drink at the Patron Mexican restaurant in Sanson, Virginia. Okay, so she's at a Mexican restaurant. She's having a margarita when this happened. A snake fell into her margarita.
Oh my.
Ooh.
Oh
Yes,
my.
into her margarita. First, it hit her forehead, bounced off her forehead, and landed in her margarita. The worm, this was in a bar. There was a bottle of mezcal. The worm inside the bottle of mezcal looked at it and said, Mama?
Oh, geez. Wow.
So they interviewed the woman afterward, and she said, after the snake fell into her glass, she said she was rattled because
Oh.
she got tequila on her boa, but then
Oh.
the bartender pulled a credit card out of her garter and paid for the snake damage. There you go.
That's
Three
a pretty
puns
good
in
one,
one.
Paul. That's a pretty
In
good
our
story
show,
there.
in my
Very good.
section
Wow.
of that painful punishment of the world. All right. So that is the end of my section here, which means that it's time for What in the World of Sport with John Donallo. So as I mentioned before, and as all of our regular listeners know, every week I ask John to find a sport that fits with the theme of real sports, sometimes strange, always funny. And John always manages to come up with a good one. So, John, I got your photos lined up. Why don't you give us your sport for this week?
I will do, Paul. Thank you. So our sport this week comes to us from merry old England, and this sport is very unique. The sport is the World Coal Carrying Championships, and they are held annually in the village of Gawthorpe, England, as part of a celebration that goes back 150 years.
Wow.
The village derives its name from Gorky, which is actually a Viking word for a cuckoo, and Thorpe, which is an enclosure or settlement. Now, while this cuckoo town is most associated with the coal carrying championships, there is historical evidence that suggests that the village may have had Roman origins.
Wow.
So again, back to classical time. Now,
Yeah.
Gawthorpe, yes, Gawthorpe is the name of a seam of coal which stretches from Gawthorpe, down through the village of Hornbury and Grigglestone. Now, the Gaythorpe, I know there's a quiz afterwards. Now, Gawthorne May Day celebrations date back to at least 1875, when a 70-foot fir tree was erected on the village green. The maypole is traditionally the finish line for the World Coal Carrying Championships, which have been held on Easter Monday every year since 1963.
Wow.
So the championships were originally run from the Shawcross Colliery or coal mine to the maypole, but the collieries in this area were all closed during the 1970s, when employers decided to be held more accountable for safety and health regulations of their employees. Coal mining is a very difficult occupation, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So
carrying bags of coal.
there they are. Now, so the modern rules are simple. Contestants carry a full sack of coal 1,012 meters, or a little more than 1,000 yards, from the Royal Oak Tree Pub, starts at a pub, in Osset, to the Maypole Green. Now, these sacks weigh 110 pounds for men or 44 pounds for women.
Oh,
There are also 100-yard run, 100 fun run for kids, which are fun mostly because they don't have to carry sacks of coal. So the kids can have fun, but they don't have to have the coal on their back. Now, the current women's world record holder is Catherine Foley, and with 4 minutes and 25 seconds in 2011. And there's also a women's veterans race for women that are over the age of 40. So this is a
Oh,
very significant sport in that part of England. Now, the men's race is split into 3 main races and 2 veteran races for those 40 years and over. The winner of the men's race is the overall winner, so to speak, with the best time over the 3 men's main races. The
this
current
guy here,
men,
by the way, John, this guy's
yeah,
78 years old. He competed in the race. He's
yes, right.
78 years old. Yeah.
78 years old. The current men's world record holder is David Jones
Wow.
with a record of 4 minutes and 6 seconds, and he completed that in 1995. Now, all races are officially timed by a clock that is used for timing racing pigeons, as have been the tradition from the beginning of the races. So there is tradition in England with a lot of things. A modern stopwatch is also used to ensure all competitors have a race time attributed to their race finishing position. Your time is not recorded until your sack of coal hits the green.
Ooh.
So this year's race was held on April 21st, and Verity Rees from Windermere, Florida, won the women's open category.
Wow, from Florida.
Wow.
Yes, but let me offer this. We don't have the men's result because they were too busy drinking beer. Now, coal carrying, right. Now, wait a minute, folks. Coal carrying sounds like a great sport, but its days are numbered. Rumor has it the race next year will include a new division. Get ready for this, for solar panel carrying.
Oh.
Well, I mean, it's progress, okay? I mean, we're progressing in our civilization here, right? And that's just another fine example of progressing from coal to solar panels.
Wow.
Not the
Yeah.
same. Oh, it's not the same. It'll look like those guys carrying those couches on their bikes.
Well,
Yeah.
you have to think 110 pounds, okay?
110 pounds. Yeah.
110 pounds to carry that on your back in a competition. It's like,
Yeah.
why did I sign up for this?
Yes, exactly.
But people are doing it, and it's a tradition that goes back so many years. So
Yeah. 150. Oh, and it looked like there were big crowds.
oh yeah,
The
I mean, it's very popular, and again, it's held all the time on Easter Monday. So again, people can plan their time around that. So yeah, quite a sport though, an interesting
we're
one.
very timely. Yeah. Very good sport, John.
Thanks.
I thought that I never heard of this sport before. And it seemed so absurd. But then I started thinking, it seems to me back when we were in college, we competed in a coal sack carrying competition against another fraternity. Do you remember?
No, you lost me on this one, Paul. You lost me on this one.
No? Well, it started out the way all these competitions started when we were in school. Another fraternity challenged us to carry what did they call it? The sack of coal carrying a sack of coal.
Right.
And so the older brothers, they always gave that job to me and John because we were the young guys. And they said, arrange to compete with these guys. You have to get a sack of coal to carry. So, we heard that it was 110 pounds and we weren't the biggest guys in the world back then. So John is the smarter one of the two of us. So John found a technicality. And the technicality was that John decided we were going to carry a sack of coal slaw. So
now, you know what? That's definitely something that I would have done. And now that you mentioned that, Paul, I do remember it.
There's a picture of John right there explaining to me how the proper technique for carrying a sack of coal slaw. Now, you can see John was in good shape back in those days, much better shape than me. I said, I'm not even going to carry a sack of coleslaw. So I carried a tiny little container, a little paper cup of coleslaw.
A technicality there, but still, it's still accurate though in a way, right? Okay, sure.
I don't recall who won or lost, but I think that we usually did well when there was a technicality. So
Yes, always looking for an advantage somehow.
there you go. That's right. All right, John, great story. Colsack
Oh,
clearing
thanks,
from
Paul. Thank you.
one of those places that always has strange sports for what in the world of sports. And that means we reached the time for Bluff the co-host, everybody's favorite weird news show. Rules are simple for Bluff the co-host, weird news game, I'm sorry. I have 3 stories similar to the ones we've been talking about all afternoon. One big difference. All of those stories were real. These stories may be real, they may be a bluff. And it's up to Karen, John, and those of you playing at home to decide real or bluff. Wagering is allowed, so place your bets. John and Karen, hands on the buzzer. Let's get right to story number 1. An aquarium in Melbourne, Australia, had a baby shark born unexpectedly to one of its female sharks. And after she refused to feed it, and they couldn't convince any other female sharks to adopt it, the staff members volunteered to hand raise the baby shark using a hand puppet made to look like a mother shark. While the outside appears to be a real shark's head, the inside is made of Kevlar to protect the human mother's hand from those sharp little baby shark teeth and jaws that can snap through bony fish and bony arms. The human shark mom occasionally bops the baby shark on the nose so it doesn't get too attached to it, and hopefully it will start feeding on its own soon. Okay, so the aquarium in Australia that had a baby shark born by surprise, none of them females wanted it, so they're feeding it by hand with a shark puppet. Real or bluff? Karen, we'll start with you.
I hope there's a better way of taking care of a baby shark rather than a puppet, and bopping it on the nose. So I'm going to say this is a great story, and it's not real.
Okay, Karen says it's a bluff. John, how about you?
Well, I'm going to say that it is real. And I mean, it's obviously out of the ordinary or unorthodox, right, to have something like this. But I'm going to
Don't
say
bring
it's real.
religion into this, John.
Well, that was not my intention. Not my intention, gang. Not my intention. But no, I think I think I can understand that someone would do this and try to be able to help the baby shark out this way. So I'm going to say it's real.
Okay, so John is very concerned about baby shark health. So John says that story is real. Karen, on the other hand, says it's a bluff. The other way to get rid of to take care of baby sharks is flush them down the aquarium toilet. So we have a disagreement. Karen, bluff. John says it's real. Let's check with the judges, and the judges say congratulations go to Karen. That is a bluff. John, the baby sharks are never born in captivity. So there's no reason for anybody.
Well, yeah, but I mean, logic doesn't apply necessarily and bluff the co-host. So that's what I was going on. So, okay. All right. I get it.
Could happen. All right. It's a could happen. Unorthodox. I like that. Okay. So score 1-0. Karen's in the lead, but let's see what happens here with story number 2. Also an animal theme. You may think that cocktail parties are strictly for humans, but biologists at a wildlife park in West Africa recently observed wild chimpanzees sharing fermented fruit with other chimpanzees, getting buzzed and socializing with the other chimps of both sexes that they normally show aggression towards. The researchers aren't sure if the chimps find the fermented fruit by accident or if they intentionally look for it, but they definitely seem to enjoy sharing it rather than hoarding the boozy sweets from their fellow chimps. Look for this to be the plot of a new movie called Return to the Cocktail Lounge of the Apes. Okay. So chimpanzees in the wild have been found to not only eat fermented fruit, but have a cocktail party with their friends where they all enjoy eating it together. Real or bluff? John, we'll start with you.
Well, if I'm using logic on this one, Paul, this has got to be a bluff. I mean, I can't see chimpanzees having a cocktail party. That's my first thought. And doing it in this way, I just don't see it. I'm going to say it's a bluff.
Wow. Okay. John says it's a bluff. Not even orthodox. All right. Karen, how about you? Real or bluff?
I'm going to say it's real, and I'm going to say it's their form of a cocktail party. That maybe they can sense, the fruit is fermented and it draws their attention to it. And yeah, so I'm going to say it's real.
Wow. Okay. So Karen says it's real. Chimpanzees have their form of cocktail party. John says it's a bluff. Let's check with the judges, and the judges say, congratulations go to Karen once again. That is a real story. Now,
Wow. Karen, way
yeah,
to go. Wow.
no snack, no bar snacks. There's no peanuts on the bar or anything
Yeah.
like that. But definitely saw the chimps socializing, sharing the fermented fruit, telling jokes, all that stuff.
Well, our show is very thought provoking, so it continues on in this vein. That's for sure.
All right. Okay. So the score for those of you keeping track are 2-0. Karen is in the lead, but points are doubled in round number 3. So John can certainly reach a tie, which is as good as a win on Bluff the co-host. So let's see how he does. Also, an animal story. A man in England walked 53 miles while dressed in a homemade bird costume to raise money to save the bird that he was wearing, the European curlew, the continent's largest wading bird. The 10-foot long costume of a Eurasian curlew was made out of polystyrene and bamboo and looked exactly like a curlew because the man is in real life a professional puppet maker. While he normally works on ventriloquist dummies, the fake curlew didn't move its beak, which was made from extra strong materials, in case the guy inside was attacked by a nearsighted fox or a really hungry fox. Okay, so man in England walked 53 miles while dressed in a homemade bird costume to raise money to help save the curlew, is the name of it. Real or bluff? Karen, we'll start with you.
Well, I hope it's not real. It just sounds too odd. And I'm going to say bluff.
Okay, Karen says it's a bluff. John, how about you?
Well, if a person is committed, I think 53 miles is a long distance, but if where there's a will, there's a way. So I'm going to say that it's a real story.
Where there's a will, there's a way. Okay, John says it's a real story. Karen says it's a bluff. Let's check with the judges, and the judges say he pulls it out. John, that is a real story. John and Karen finish in a tie. That means everybody
Very
gets
good.
Oh, it's a good effort there, Karen. Yes, I mean,
Yeah.
so it was a good time was had by all. So that's a
Yes,
good
it
time.
was.
better than we did at the Trivia Bowl. So,
Oh, yes, we did. Yes, exactly.
so a little get over a little bit of the depression from that.
It's a little bit of a bounce back. Yeah, a little bit of a rebound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So that means we've reached the end of another episode of What in the World. I want to thank Karen Hale, our producer, co-host, media mogul at newclevelandradio.net. Thank you for everything you do for us, for our show, and for all the podcasts at newclevelandradio.net. Also for your coaching services at Yes I Can Coaching. Everybody, go to newclevelandradio.net. Check all of that stuff out. It'll be worth your time, and you'll get a good laugh listening to us as well. Also, I want to thank my old buddy John Dinalo for being our co-host, our sports guy, all around good guy, puts up with all my nonsense every week. Thanks, John. I hope we'll be talking about some winners next week.
Well, Paul, yeah, absolutely. And, for me, the podcast is an important part of my week, and want to make sure that we put a good show out to the people to make sure that they enjoy us and continue to listen to us.
There you go. That's right. Yeah. So thank you again for that plug. And as always, I want to thank all of our listeners. Without you, we wouldn't be doing the show. So you're the reason why. We hope you have as much fun listening to the show as we do putting it on. Don't go running out looking for those pierogi peanut butter cups. They're not real.
Right.
You
can always enjoy the original, ladies and gentlemen. Always enjoy the original, of course.
Same with any What in the World imposters. Don't go to them. Go to the original. And we will be back next week on Wednesday. Another day change there. Don't worry, we'll put it on Facebook and everything. Wednesday at 3:00. So check us out then. In the meantime, I hope everybody has a great weekend.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody. Take
Bye,
care.
everyone. Have a great weekend, everyone.